Holy ridiculous premise, Batman! Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And we're back with another episode of The Animated Batcave. That's right. BlueDragonFive, the veteran of all things animated Batman, is taking me, the novice of Batman, having, just literally watched none of the series at all, through Batman the Animated Series, teaching me the ins and outs, going through all the great intricate details that make this the wonderful show that it is. And tonight we're talking about. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, see, folks, long ago I made, just to summarize as well as you, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way.
Indeed. And this time we're getting into I've got Batman in my basement!
Well, Tiki, you've never told me that before.
I'm just holding this face. Okay. Oh boy. Dragon, I kind of told you this off air, but my reaction to this, watched this once yesterday and then once today after getting off work after a long bus ride home from San Francisco and everything. First time I saw it yesterday, I was actually like, oh, that's it. I mean, it's a silly premise, but it's got some fun kind of Amblin charm to it. It's kind of like the Goonies in a way. You got these kids on an adventure. And literally the more salty, jaded version of Tiki that just got home after a long day of work and wrote the notes for this episode. Well, Dragon, let's just say my notes are very colorful for this episode, and I will be quoting my notes throughout the recap. So.
Oh, boy. Well, at least it wasn't drowsy Tiki. I hate drowsy Tiki.
No, it's not drowsy Tiki. I think this is going to be a very fun episode to talk about. But my reaction, Dragon, I mean, honestly, what do you expect?
Well, tell the folks what the reaction was.
Oh, God. This is just ridiculous. The whole thing. The whole thing is just absolutely preposterous. But it's going to be so fun to talk about, though. That's why I'm looking forward to it. Oh God, it's a ridiculous episode. It's just loony. But yeah. I think it's going to make for a really fun podcast, though. So I'm optimistic about it in that way.
Yeah, well, you see, folks, I've kind of said this before, and we always kind of say this based on this episode. It's kind of usually the go-to for this statement is that Batman the Animated Series, it's still probably one of the best shows ever. And of course, any good show, and you still have episodes that don't quite cut the mustard. And
Open House.
I always what?
Open House.
What?
Open House.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway,
I'm just saying,
again with
that's
right. Right, and usually I like to say, Batman the Animated Series. This is before, this is kind of around a little bit before the Legend of Korra, kind of Steven Universe era where we've gone into these days. But even the worst episodes of Batman the Animated Series were still, by comparison to what was on, it was still pretty impressive. And there are impressive elements to this one. But again, rewatching really with a real kind of analytical view on it, really kind of putting a fine tooth comb to it. Hadn't had the occasion with before. Yeah, this one's more flawed than kind of cutesy, as I like to remember. But because basically this summarized my feelings without getting into it. We'll do that when we get the recap. I thought it was kind of like, oh, okay, it's coming from a good place. It's just it's not as defying and as amazing as the other episodes. There's not this is one of the adventures I wish that. Every other episode of Batman Series practically is okay, these are chapters and kind of the narrative of Batman. I can imagine in Batman Beyond, Bruce Wayne's going to reflect on these wow, these were great adventures I had. This one, not so much.
This kind of feels like a young Indiana Jones adventure compared to an Indiana Jones movie, which is most of Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, and in a way. So again, this one, I think this one's coming from a good place, but as I'll get into in the background when we transition to now, you'll see where the rails kind of went off. So this one, again, coming from an interesting place. Actually, I did research in this one. I found some interesting facts. I never looked into this one before. I found out a lot of interesting, cool things about this. So this episode was written by, of course, Batman in My Basement was written by Sam Graham and Chris Hubble. But interestingly, The story may not have come from them. They were the writers of the episode. It was directed by the main important thing to speak to about this episode. It has a really famous director attached to it, Frank Parr. Frank Parr is a really great name in the animation industry. He's done the Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. He did the Hulk versus things we saw. Tiki, remember Hulk versus Wolverine, Hulk versus Thor. He directed those guys. A fantastic director, Frank Parr. And I think this is his first episode on the Batman series, one of his early animation credits. So I mean, it shows you. I mean, there are some good shots in this if you look at it. And there are a few good shots in this. Directing wise, but
I think like the best thing to say about it is it does have an Amblin-like quality. Like you can tell that Spielberg, at least indirectly, had a hand in making it with some of the shots.
Yeah. Well, again, very indirectly. Bear in mind.
I know, very indirectly, but still, it's like Spielberg was in the same building as the guys who were making some of this potentially, maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of there's a bigger divide than we kind of make out when you reference Spielberg. Let's not get into that. It's transcendentally involved more.
Okay, so point being, it feels like Amblin. Okay, that's the point I'm trying to make. Right.
Anyway, so here's things. Here's the background. So the story of this actually came from Lauren Bright. Now, Lauren Bright, Tiki, she has worked in Batman the Animated Series. Yeah. She is responsible for some of the good episodes, some of the really notable episodes like Robin's Reckoning. She had the story on that. Robin's Reckoning is the famous origin episode of Robin in Batman the Animated Series, which we'll get to in Season 2. But when we get to the Season 2 era of Batman. Importantly, Lauren Bright, she's also one of the main creators of Renee Montoya. The original character from Batman the Animated Series who made her way into the comics and shows where she shows up very little.
Just Gotham, where she's such a memorable fan favorite character, just eating up all the attention. You know what makes me mad, Dragon, is that Montoya just eats up all the screen time from Bullock.
Yeah.
It's like we need less Montoya screen time. Anyway.
Yeah, if only there was some magic genie to make that come true.
Of course, we're being sarcastic. Anyways.
Anyway, seriously, though, the story came from this and makes me kind of speculate on kind of the great potential this episode had. So the story of this came from Alan Burnett and again, Lauren Bright, they kind of worked out the story. I assume she's in the story room kind of overseeing a lot of this stuff. At the point she worked in the story and like all the writers kind of palling around, kind of come up with the ideas and kind of the backbone of the story in a way. So Alan Burnett, of course, he's kind of the godfather of all Batman animation, essentially. He's been involved with Batman up to like, I want to say 2014. He's always been kind of associated with Batman. Alan Burnett. He wrote the Two-Face episode. Mm-hmm. That's very important, given like what this episode could have been. He wrote Two-Face, and bear in mind we're 2 episodes after Two-Face on this.
Of course, sure.
So he had the idea of this, and basically the idea is this episode got rewritten so many times to everyone's disappointment that it became something none of them wanted to work on. So I'm not sure if the writers that are credited with this episode were actually the original writers. Not, I can't tell you that. I can only tell you like they're the names that are on the paper. So maybe they had a really good idea and then it just got perverted so much. Like I don't know. Here's the thing: I don't know if the network gave them notes on this or what, because that has been kind of known to. This same series again, Gene McCurdy always really shielded them from the network interference, but sometimes again they had like with the Underdwellers, there's kind of a message associated with it sometimes. So I don't know if this is like coming from a place of like let's have kids and Batman together for an episode. I don't know if that's where the idea came from, but I'm going to speculate this. I'm going to speculate this was regardless going to be their introduction to the Penguin. That was the episode in the genesis of this episode. Is always going to be the introduction of the Penguin. That much I know.
Oh God, I didn't even realize that. This is wait, see. Oh, gee.
So. Here's the thing.
Oh, that hurts.
I know.
That just like I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So again, unfortunately, this again. Bear in mind, I get a sense Alan Burnett what he wanted to do. This is me speculating. I have things he wanted to do a Two-Face episode for the Penguin. I think that's what he wanted to do initially, and then I just kind of got hey, let's introduce the Penguin in an episode. And I'm going to speculate. Once we get into the recap of the direction they could have taken with that idea, that could have been really cool.
Boss Biggs could have been the villain in this episode, and it would have made a big difference.
That's the thing. I mean, there's so much potential. I just think, think about it. They got Paul Williams as the Penguin, which is a great casting choice. And Penguin, unfortunately, never got like a good, with the exception of one episode in season 2, he never really got like a good. Like a really good solo episode. Usually, like he's paired up with villains, and he's really good in that. Again, Paul Williams is always he's delivered in the performance. He just really doesn't until Flight Birds of a Feather. He doesn't really get like a really good episode. which Nostalgia Critic has talked about, which we'll get to eventually. But point is, I guess since he had a kind of a penguin introduction at the ready, and they weren't really allowed to express it, which led to the low morale of the episode. Which again, all the writing changes. Basically, as people have said in interviews, everyone kind of lost enthusiasm on this. And Bruce Timm, looking back on this episode, he's really embarrassed by it, saying, "Yeah, we didn't really like this one when we were making it, so that's kind of why it's a little not their best stuff." This is. I say there are 3 episodes bad in the anime series that are like this episode. And this one I used to kind of say wasn't as bad as the one I placed at number 1 on that. But looking back at, this is definitely the worst episode, unfortunately.
Well, it's the worst, but like I said, I think we can still have a fun conversation about it at the very least.
Sure. So let me tell you the important thing with the penguin. I found this out, and this blew my mind. The last thing we'll get into is about their take on the penguin. So, of course, this you'll notice this is not this looks very much like it's modeled after Danny DeVito.
I kind of.
So let me explain that
a little bit. Yeah.
So, in New Adventures of Batman, they eventually go with the classical, kind of Burgess Meredith kind of comic book looking penguin. He's like the rich socialite, owns the Iceberg Lounge. He's the kingpin of Gotham in a way. Eventually, we get to that place, but they wanted to do that in the very first place. Do the classic comic book 40s Bob Kane penguin. But
sure.
They were going to do that, and then they kind of realized, well, let's. They're trying to spice it up a little bit. They're kind of taking like a new take on the Penguin. Penguin wasn't one of their go-to guys because they had a lot of fun with Two-Face and Joker and the other ones, but Penguin was just kind of low on their totem pole at first. So then they had an interesting take. They were kind of playing around with. They were finding out who the Penguin was, and a version they wanted to go with. Again, this is still kind of our thin, kind of usual, not thin, but kind of our usual look with the Penguin. Mm-hmm. They were going to go actually with a lot of Psycho inspiration. Tiki he was going to be inspired heavily by Psycho, in that he was going to be bird obsessed like Norman Bates, and his mother, Mrs. Cobblepot. I kid you not, his mother was like in some Penguin comics. His mother is a player, like she is in Gotham, and the idea was that they were going with the thing of Penguin, like in the classic comics. He's bullied as a child because of his bird obsession and his attachment to his mother. Again, they were going to play him like Norman Bates. How cool does that kind of sound?
So the Vulture would have actually made sense in this version.
Yeah, the Penguin does have like a bird motif throughout this show, and again, that's still consistent. When Penguin, you like birds.
Okay, I get that, but still, the Vulture leads to some silliness. You've got to admit.
Hey, I'm not saying you're wrong here on this one. I'm just saying later on the bird motifs get better. This is like one of those anomaly things.
Okay, fair enough.
My point is, let me see here. So again, they actually had kind of a Norman Bates take, and it was going to be like, the Penguin was bullied, and he just saw Batman as kind of like another bully in a way. Just kind of saw him as like kind of like a thug, just kind of going up against him. And he was like going to be this really great criminal crime boss in real life, but he was still kind of that weak little kid who had like an ailing mother who he was really kind of subservient to. Again, kind of like Norman Bates.
Mm.
And that he would sleep very much, be beckoned to his ailing mother who had like a stroke, and they actually have like a stroke and be an ailing mother.
Right.
So then, while they were kind of figuring that stuff out, then this is 1992. They're kind of drifting into this. Like basically, it's the year Batman Returns is kind of getting made, and they kind of get a note from basically Returns is getting made, and they want their Penguin to look like Danny DeVito. The Returns is kind of dictating it because the series is heavily influenced by Tim Burton film. That's what's allowing them to be as dark as they are. Mm-hmm. So the new one's coming out. So let's make sure we have. Well, I'll get to Catwoman when we get to her episodes, but. They really want it to look more like the Danny DeVito Penguin, and they kind of find a blend of that, which could really kind of stifle what they wanted to do. So they kind of mixed and matched those 3 takes, and you get kind of the DeVito looking Penguin, who is still not bad, but he's not exactly like the one they wanted to do later on. He's going to be like he owns the Iceberg Lounge. Right now, he's kind of like he's still pulling the capers. He's still kind of very bird themed capers.
All right, fair enough. I mean, I like you said, I can kind of see like the the spark of a good story in there, but hey, we got this instead. So
yeah, and basically the last thing to say, this is the most kind of Saturday morning of all the Batman animated series. This feels the most like they were really trying to appeal to kids on this one.
And you know what, Dragon? In a way, that kind of endears it to me in a nostalgic kind of sense. Because this very much feels like just a product of like the 90s in terms of like what they were trying to do with the kids angle, but we'll get into all that. So.
And as a kid myself, I didn't mind this episode. I had nothing. As a kid, it didn't really click to me or something wrong with this one. It just wasn't as awesome as the other ones.
Right.
But again, upon reflection, I can see it's not as weak, and I can see there are problems in this one. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, so we start with a couple of thugs breaking into the Penguin's lair, wherever the hell they are. I'm literally quoting my notes here. Breaking into the penguin's lair or wherever.
They're not breaking into the lair. They're breaking into like some place that's holding the Fabergé egg. They're in the middle of a heist right now.
Okay, so like I said, wherever the hell they are.
Anyway, so basically, here's the cool thing about this. Again, here's the potential of this. We begin at the end of a Batman episode, essentially, which is like the third act of an episode. Think about this. An episode we could have had is like, okay, Acts 1 and Act 2 we're planning a heist, and then this is the third act of Batman foiling the big heist they've been planning the whole episode, you know?
I guess. I mean, that doesn't really sound like the most exciting Batman episode.
Well, I'm saying this would be like the ending of an episode we haven't seen. I'm just saying this would be kind of like the... Anyway. Fun is we're kind of in the middle of a... Again, I'm not saying it on its own would be that interesting. I'm just saying as like a starting point. Okay, we kind of start at the end of a Batman adventure here. We're in the middle of a heist. They're stealing the really expensive Fabergé egg. Say, oh, it took 5 minutes, and then Batman suddenly appears behind him, which should get you 5 years with good behavior. Which is a cool line, I gotta tell you.
It's like the one good line that Kevin Conroy has throughout the whole episode.
Unfortunately, Kevin Conroy is a very sparse in this one. Or at the very least, the lines he has in this first act here are really, really, they're like spelling it out to the audience lines of like, I have to announce everything I'm doing sort of thing, which we'll get to. So Batman battles the Penguin's vulture, a Scrap, who just kind of like basically comes to their aid, basically so they can get away with the bounty, so to speak, and they get away with the expensive Fabergé. Just a giant vulture appears and kind of contends with Batman, ripping him to shreds, and kind of embarrassing for Batman to fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, Batman fighting a vulture.
Yep.
I want to reiterate, Dragon. Batman riding a reindeer, awesome. Batman fighting a vulture, not so awesome. Again, Batman riding a reindeer, awesome. Batman fighting a vulture? Okay. Anyways.
All right. Well, real quick, just so I can get out of the way. I can get out of the way now or at the end. It's your call, Tiki. So you want me to pitch you like the alternate way this episode could have gone, but it would be a lot more cool?
Let's do it at the end.
All right, just remind me. Don't forget.
Yeah. Okay, right. So let's see. Then we get the
henchmen get away, but leave a trail of birdseed.
Birdseed, right. Yeah.
Batman spells it out. Birdseed. Do we really need to? That's like one of, looking back on a more critical eye. I just realized the Batman atmosphere is so well known for like just seeing we show, we don't tell. You know, just Batman using the like with his fingers, like you'll see, like he's holding like the evidence, just like just looking at it. We know, okay, well there's a trail that's going to be led there. There's no birdseed.
Dragon, I literally, this is it. One of the last notes I have of this episode is the most respectable thing about this episode is the fact that they spared Kevin Conroy because he barely speaks.
It's the easiest paycheck Kevin Conroy ever got. So then we're in suburban Gotham, and let me say this again. God. I think the idea of kind of starting kind of like
Pleasantville, USA. I'm sorry, we're not in Gotham.
Basically, you take out.
We're in the same suburb. I'm sorry. This just came to me now. We're in the same suburb as like the cartoon All Stars from the Rescue drug PSA thing. It's that suburb, Dragon. It is that suburb.
Let me say this. Out of this whole episode, I think the first act bears the most fruit in that. If you got rid of the kids, again, might be just like the ending of a Batman episode. Okay, well, Batman's foiling the Penguin. This would be an introduction to the guy, perhaps. But again, then we can't really pick and choose on this one. We gotta take the whole thing. We're in the middle of our Batman adventure, Birdseed. Then we're in suburban Gotham randomly. So we're in suburban Gotham with amateur detective Sherman showing Roberta, his nice gal pal, showing Roberta his detective kit.
Yeah.
They were then accosted by bullies.
I was like the least likely kid to be a bully in middle school. Like I was bullied myself in middle school. Even I would want to beat this kid up.
Okay, come on, that's a little much.
I'm just saying.
You're just trying to puff your chest on that one.
Okay, but Dragon, I'm sorry, this is jumping ahead of it, but let me remind you that this little twerp has the goal to ask Batman if he's single and if he can date his mother. You're telling me you don't want to beat up that kid?
I'm saying I want to look away from that kid. I want to say I don't know who this child is. I just want
Okay, well we'll get into that more, but
I will agree with you, Dupont. Let me say this again, Liege. I hate to kind of do this, but these kids not really bringing in the performance. Let's say
like I said,
these aren't.
The one thing that I can hold it to is the fact that this feels like such a stereotypical 90s kids outing that I get a little bit of nostalgia for it, even though I've never seen it before. It's so stereotypically 90s that it just kind of gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling, even though it's kind of awful.
Yes, the performance really isn't that good on these kids. I used to give it a lot more slack. Really watching, I forgot how bad it was.
Oddly enough, the best comparison I have is maybe like the performances from, well, I guess We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. Yardley Smith did the voice of the girl. I'm not sure who did the voice of the boy, but it feels like something out of that vein, though. I don't know. Like I said, it feels like something from the 90s that's terrible, but I still have nostalgia for, and We're Back, A Dinosaur Story is that for me. So anyways.
Anyway, so they're accosted by bullies. There's a fun line they have. Tiki, this is kind of unintentional, but they're making fun of the kid's name, and they like Sherlock, Sherwood, and one of the names is Wormwood. Now, Wormwood, they say, let's just say there's an episode of Batman Animated Series where we have kind of a basically kind of a knockoff of the Riddler, and his name's Wormwood. So it's kind of like it's like a fun foreshadow of Wormwood. Anyway, so they didn't know that when they're making them. It's like it's kind of fun to have a character called Hosea Wormwood later on. I'd say so. Basically, they spot while they're kind of going through the stuff, like they're tossing the binoculars. One of the bullies kind of notices, looking at the binoculars. Oh, look, it's a vulture, and look, it's a bird. And then Sherman says, "Oh no, it's a jet." Really expeditionally, he says, "No, it's a giant South American vulture." So the kids then follow it. Bird and Sherman then
because a vulture in Gotham City has got to be a mystery worth checking out, right?
It's the most Hardy Boys like.
I mean, it's not like something dead is in Gotham City and a vulture just might be circling. No. It's just a vulture is in Gotham City, so therefore investigate.
Yeah, and look, I mean, there's like other ways they could have phrased it. Okay, like, hey, vulture guy, let's follow it. Cool. That's a way to look into it. Hey,
let's
cool vulture, let's follow it.
How it's circling somewhere.
Yeah, there's the kind of really on the nose of like, hey, it must be a mystery. Well, they don't really know it's not that mysterious. Okay, it's a bird in Gotham. Maybe it's in the zoo. Okay, it's a vulture. It's kind of cool, I guess, but they make it sound like a conspiracy.
It's gonna be fun. Okay.
Anyway, so they arrive at a condemned birdseed factory. Yes, folks, that is a condemned birdseed factory. They enter the building.
Not a warehouse.
No. So they enter it. Let's see. So Jay and Raven. Jay voiced by Rob Paulson. Funny enough.
I did notice that. Yeah.
I want to say it's Rob Paulson's first episode on Batman Animated Series. I could be wrong. I want to say yes.
I don't remember us talking about him before now, so I would say you're correct.
Before, I used to say, before like really way back when I was really looking forward to Batman Animated Series, I was kind of thinking, it's kind of funny. We don't have two of the big giant names in voice acting in the show, Jim Cummins and Rob Paulson, but they both eventually show up in the series. So they actually they're like one-offs, I think, and one-offs. So it's okay. Let's see. So we have the two robbers from earlier on, Jay and Raven. Wait, Penguin's return. Henchmen to the Penguin. We have this really weird birdseed tease. I think they cut this.
I don't get it at all.
I'll tell you what I think happened here today. I think there was a scene here they cut because they just wanted to save time. It feels really like they didn't fix it all in the editing. Here's what happens.
They're trying to like misdirect the robbers with the birdseed or something.
No. Here's it. Like okay, I don't think they're trying to misdirect. I think what it is like basically we hear a sound and then one of the like Raven or Jay they walk over there and they see like they hear it like falling on this tin or something. Mm-hmm. And his birdseed falling from like the second upper platform, and then like they find he's randomly aggressively kicks it, like he's really pissed them off and just kicked it across the room. And here's the thing: it's missing up there on like the second level. First of all, how did the kids get up to the second level? Because they were on the ground floor. We missed that. But more so, why are they using like leaning on a bag? What it looks like they ripped a hole in the bag for some purpose, but again, edited. So why the heck is just randomly they're dropping birdseed all of a sudden?
Right.
It's like we're missing stuff. They cut stuff out of that.
I could not make sense of that whatsoever.
That's what I'm saying. It's completely random, just the way that was edited off. So then,
I'm so glad that you can't explain it either. That makes me feel less dumb.
So then the Penguin enters. The Penguin enters and he feeds Crab. Now, for a moment, let's discuss the wonderful Paul Williams. Paul Williams, of course, famous songwriter. Rainbow Connection. He's been on Dexter's Lab. Guys, he's got good voice credentials, and he was always Tiki. I gotta tell you, he's one of my favorite. Whenever I think of the Penguin, nowadays it's a little harder because the Arkham games have very distinct Penguin. But before that, I've always
Robin Lord Taylor as well.
Well, yeah, sorry. Before the two, I think they were kind of a little after, like, the same time, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Basically, before the Arkham games and the Robin Lord Taylor Penguin, my go-to Penguin has always been for years and years Paul Williams Penguin, because he always brought kind of it was, for me, it was never Burgess Meredith or Danny DeVito. It was always Paul Williams, because he always had that kind of great dignified. He was such a great blend of the two, because he looked kind of cool like the Danny DeVito Penguin. Because I always liked as a kid, I kind of liked the design of the Penguin. He was kind of like hunched over, he's kind of bird-like. He was like, again, more so for the later episode where he's like, trying to blend in the dignified high society. Like, he's this guy who really is unrefined, but he thinks he's like the most refined guy in the room. He's very verbose. He's very, again, with Paul Williams' voice, he just plays like a guy trying to be classy.
Right.
And again, Paul Williams does bring kind of that great class to his voice, and I love that he believes all his worth that he is like the most dignified person in Gotham, even though he's like a common criminal.
Yeah, I can see that.
The point is, like, he brought kind of like a Burgess Meredith acting quality, but not the Burgess Meredith
like it's just so hard for me to, I mean, I'm sure he's great. I'm sure there's episodes that I'm gonna like really, really like this guy, but yeah, like as of now, of course, the whole point of this series is that I haven't seen any of Batman the Animated Series, at least.
Just take my word for it. His dialogue gets a lot better. He was good in this, just his dialogue was not good. That's the problem. The dialogue was not well written in this one.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'd love to be singing his praises as well, along with you, but I just can't, just based on the one episode I've seen. Not yet.
Yeah. Well, believe me, he'll get a lot better. So
I'm sure he will. I totally believe you.
I just want to point out, like, while it's his first appearance with Paul Williams in the role, it's like it was a great casting on their part that really pays off later on down the line. So, like the one of the henchmen's like, oh man, the birds creep me out. I love that Penguin's sticking up for his birds. Again, inkling from that original concept he gave. Okay, Penguin really valuing the birds. So just like he's defending him, saying, if it wasn't for Scrap here, you'd be basically you would have been captured by Batman. It's matter. The bird did all the work. The bird fought off Batman while you two idiots got away. Right. So, like the Penguin's sticking up for him. He really cares about these birds. Not as much as Poison Ivy, which, again, might have been a story with direction to go in, but no. Let's see. So then we get really forced kid dialogue.
Oh, God.
Basically explaining, hey, I looked in the newspaper. I read in the newspaper. Well, I don't read the newspaper except for the comics. How's that nostalgia cream treating you now, Tiki?
Honestly, it's still pretty nostalgic because that is pretty damn nostalgic, like bad kids dialogue. And I'm like, yeah, I remember watching bad shows like that as a kid. Yeah. I remember.
Right, so like, basically, Roberto's got really forced dialogue here, saying, yeah, just first of all, just Sherman he doesn't need to. Kids don't need to know every little thing. You don't have to explain it away.
He's acting like an informed voter in the 2016 election. You know what I mean? He's like, oh well, I know all the facts about everything.
Right. Just saying oh yeah, I saw that in the paper. You've read it certainly, haven't you? Says no, I just read the comics. He says like it's basically establishing it's a really valuable Fabergé egg. It's worth a lot of money.
Oh man,
I think kind of goes without saying. Okay, people stole this, so worth money.
So you're saying that we have really forced kids exposition just to say that egg is valuable?
Yes, that's all we have. I saw in the paper. It's worth a fortune.
slow golf clap.
Anyway, so Scrap then spots the kids and descends upon them from the very top of the building, only to be caught in a net by Batman. Which you gotta admit, Batman taking down the Penguin is pretty cool here. Again, Batman when he's doing stuff, okay, but the problem is in this episode he's gonna be at a point where he's not doing anything.
Of course, yeah, but I'll agree, Batman does kick some ass here.
So I will say that again, Tiki. This is what I'm trying to establish here, and which I'll get to more at the end. Is that with the potential of this episode? Okay, is the idea of you could see if we knew what the dynamic was between Penguin and Batman. Assume there was a compelling dynamic between Penguin and Batman. They were trying to find each other the whole episode in a way. Like Batman's trying to find the Penguin the whole episode. This could be the ending of like, okay, Batman finally stops the Penguin. That's kind of cool, right?
I guess so. Like I said, it kind of sounds.
I know it's a lot of what ifs.
But
it's a lot of what ifs, and like you again, it's all speculatory. But yeah. So point is, Batman swoops in. He steals the egg. He does swoop in. You're right. The guy swoops in like Indiana Jones here a little bit. He just kind of swoops in. He steals the egg. He buries the baddies in Birdseed, which is kind of again cool. Could kind of defeat Penguin with Birdseed. I never thought of that. It's kind of cool.
You know what? I do think probably the genuine best moment of the episode is when Batman is just sternly yelling at the kids to get out.
Yes!
Like, he kicks the door, he's like, get out, now!
I love that! See, and again, Tiki, here's the biggest kind of disappointment and potential of the episode. Here's the thing. So Batman swoops in, he defeats the bad guys. The kids accidentally hit here's an animation mistake, by the way. The kids accidentally hit the off switch, which should be the on switch, but they screwed that one up overseas. Basically, they're almost crushed with the bags of birdseed. And then Batman, he does one of my favorite Batman things, Tiki. He saves children. He saves people. You know me? I love that. He saves them, which is cool. Then he says, get out now. They run out. Again, Tiki, I should be head over heels with that right now. I should be. Unfortunately, they come back. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Remember we had that episode a few episodes back where like he's saving the kids who are playing chicken. I believe it was the Underdwellers episode. It's like, you play chicken, you get fried. Again, it's a cool thing. Batman's saving people.
Right. It's kind of like, one of the good moments in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 when he helps the kid with the science experiment and everything,
Oh, yeah.
But,
I love heroes saving people, especially kids. It's always good stuff. Anyway, and again, I love Tiki in concept. Just what we do have here is that the idea on paper, wherever it starts, that okay, Batman saves some kids, and then the kids save Batman. That's a nice idea. It makes you feel all warm and fuzzy, doesn't it?
I mean, in theory, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In theory, it's written on paper. Okay, then the kids save Batman. That's a good idea. At least it sounds like okay, it's kind of nice.
Oh God.
Kind of nice, right?
Yeah. But...
I'm building the fall. I'm building the ladder for the fall here.
I know you are.
They hand over the Legos. I'm building the ladder here. Okay, so anyway, so then Penguin emerges from the birdseed and he fires a poison gas pellet at Batman.
Should have taken your own advice, Batman.
Yep. Let's see. So then we have the ever-changing. I like the joke about this. The ever-changing Batmobile controlling spell, because you'll see it's a different episode. Like they change it up a lot of time. The Batman's utility belt has various different Batmobile control looking. They design it differently each time, so it's never the same thing. It's like sometimes like a little dial thing when like in Last Laugh, the Joker garbage episode.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't a bad episode. It's just garbage themed. April Fool's Day. I remember he's like pushing the buttons on the thing to control the boat. So he has like various different ways to control the Batmobile because they like to change it up. Point is, pushing that, the Batmobile comes to him. The car picks him up, but unfortunately, Batman passes out as he's pulling him. After he gets himself in the car, before he can put in the destination to the Batcave, before he can tell it to go home or anything, he passes out. So Batman's in trouble here.
And yeah, here we go.
Then the episode takes a downward spiral. Basically, from this point forward, that's when the episode takes anything is just it's silly and it's not unsalvageable. Though. Okay, again, basically the first act ends here. I say the first act, okay, it's not good, but it's not great, but it's passable. And then the rest of it ends, so we're getting to the unsalvageable territory.
The rest of it is basically like the 1 year later moment from Fantastic Four.
Yeah, pretty much. I think you're on the money with that. So again, Batman. So he's knocked out.
Yeah, Sherman notices Batman's in trouble. We gotta save him, even though all these are, even though it's like mortally dangerous to us, and he's on the run from like guys who are gonna kill us. No, we gotta save Batman. We gotta.
And again,
God damn it!
in concept, nice idea. Way it plays out in this scene onward, not so good. So, the kids try to repay the favor. They go over there and they're getting inside the Batmobile as the kids come to Batman's aid. Again, the charming idea on the first, especially on the first view, but boy. Penguin sends his men after him. He sends the henchmen after him. The kids get in the driver's seat quite literally. They have no idea what to do, so they're pushing random buttons after they close the buttons. And here's the thing. As a kid, it never bothered me with Batman has all these missiles on the Batmobile, but yeah, it's kind of a little overkill. We're kind of getting to the Affleck territory here. Right. He's got missiles. I think what I always figured is that, one, they're kind of trying to market it a little bit. Secondly, it's the fact that, it's like Batman knows how to use these responsibly. This Batman especially, more than the 89 one.
Or Batfleck.
But again,
I kind of read it as just like he uses it to like, burst, break down barricades like he did.
That's what I'm saying. Like as a kid, even to this day, I still kind of figure Batman knows how to use them responsibly. Come on,
did you
this
hear
Batman?
That? I actually said something nice about the Dark Knight Rises. Anyways, I'm sorry. I just had to point that out.
So he's got missiles. He's got a radar dish. He's like going through the gadgets. Flamethrower in the front, my favorite, which is just great in general. I love the tire shredder. The tire shredder is awesome.
Oh god.
Remember, he has like the Spartan kind of like the Ben-Hur kind of like tire shredder on the car. It just pops out.
Right.
Oh man, I love that.
I always associate that with oh god, this is such an obscure
Green Hornet.
Word. No, it's worse. You're gonna cringe. The Little Rascals movie from the 90s.
Oh come on.
I know. But there was this boxcar. There was this boxcar, and it had the thing that came out from the side that hit the other boxcar, and maybe I'm just on a nostalgia kick for horrible things.
Whatever you say, Spanky. Let's move on.
I'm on a nostalgia kick for horrible things involving children from the 90s. I guess that's what's going on now. Anyway,
so again, we have the tire shredder, a missile bank in the back, which I do love how it's built into the Batmobile, though. It just is. The missile bank's built into like the back part of like kind of the bat shape of the car. Right. Then we have the tear gas that gets activated, which I do really love that idea. These tear gas like kind of the defensive measures of the Batmobile, and again, they're kind of borrowing from Returns and from '89 here, like all the measures on the car. Let's see. They close the roof. Basically, they realize they're too young to drive. As the roof closes, they're all in there.
No, you think?
Basically, they realize they're too young to drive, and the three are. Now, this I did really like as a kid, and even now, I got to tell you, it still is kind of entertaining. I just love it's silly, but I love this. Not the kids driving bad, but I love the three bad guys on the roof of the car, and just they must think Batman's driving like a madman in that car.
I mean,
no, I love how they dispatch with the bags. You're driving around like they're basically these kids have no idea what to do. They're out of there. No idea what to do. Basically, they're just kind of like push the gas pedal. Like they're speeding really fast, and Penguin just latched onto the top of there, and basically as they're swing and crash their way, they get in the bad guys off the car. And the last Penguin, a terrified Penguin, uses his umbrella to kind of parachute off the car before he runs into the fire escape. I gotta tell you, even watching it, that's kind of silly. It's fun in a silly way. It's like, okay, it's kind of cool.
Is it fun? Yes. But to quote my notes, Hank driving the truck and finding Dory is more plausible than this.
Yes, that's more plausible, Tiki, because again, it's a logical logic. This is not logical. This is just dumb luck.
It's dumb. Yeah, exactly.
It's not really a fair comparison, Tiki.
Well, I'm just saying. Everyone says how ridiculous that is, but
those people are wrong.
That just gives you an example of how good Pixar is, because they can take a premise like that and make it absolutely work, whereas this is just like, no, I'm sorry, Dragon. It's like, I get what you're saying about it being fun, but to me, the whole time, I'm just concentrating on, like, how the hell are the kids driving this good? How are they not crashing into everything?
Well, they are crashing into everything, remember?
I guess. Anyways.
Anyway, let's see. So then penguins get some penguin lines here. Befouled by a couple of fledglings. Then we have there's the dumb line I think you're thinking of. He's just saying, I think I'm hey Roberta, I think I'm starting to get the hang of this. And then they ran, as he says that, they run into a stop sign.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind. It's just, yeah. Look, my whole thing is like, I just don't buy that they don't just crash into the side of the building and total the car. That's my whole thing.
Well, I'll tell you this: there's so many car chases where that car gets wrecked, and oddly enough, they're all penguin episodes.
Okay, so poor Kevin Conroy has to wake up in the basement, and give these pathetic moans, just like, poor Kevin Conroy, Dragon.
Batman stirs awake in Sherman's basement. They give him water. They tell.
My name's Sherman, and I'm a detective too.
Not exactly. If I were Batman, that's not something I want to be greeted with.
I'm sorry. That got dark really quick.
Yes. Anyway, so he tells Batman his aspirations to be a detective. He's got a crime lab. The egg's here. Then Tiki, this is a line that you may not be aware of. This one really gets under a lot of Bat fan skins right here. This one. He has the dumb Batcave line where he says, "I know it's not the Batcave because here's the problem. Everyone, this is like the line in the animated series, kind of fandom that really
no one even knows what the Batcave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bullock has a line in my favorite episode of the animated series where he doesn't joke about the Batcave. He jokes about I didn't need no Bat computer to figure that out. So again, that's more like he's figuring Batman has a computer. It's not really much of a leap, This is different.
That's not a leap at all.
That's what I'm saying. That's a joke. That's Bullock making a joke. This is like the kid actually somehow. He's assuming it's like a really weird assumption that Batman has a base that is a Batcave, but.
Oh boy. I could see that getting under a lot of people's skin. Honestly, I didn't even notice it, but now that you pointed out, yeah, that's kind of bad. But Dragon, oh god, this might be the worst moment of the episode, is when Batman's trying to get out, like, Capsule. What?
He's
captured? Did you say captured? No, don't worry, Batman. You're not captured. You're just downstairs with us. It's fine. And my mom's at work. Don't worry about it. And Roberta's here too. Yeah.
So Batman. Here's the thing that bugs me rewatching. I forgot how obvious. I knew how the episode goes. I forgot how this really transpired. So Batman very very clearly says capsules.
Capsule. Yeah, it's not like it's like no, it's capsule. It's like
How do you not get capsule from that? How do you get captured?
Oh man.
Then he says he tries to elaborate with visor, and then he passes out.
Oh, poor Kevin Conroy.
Then meanwhile, Roberta wants to call the police.
But detectives always protect the identity of their clients,
especially
this client.
And I gotta tell you, again, I wish if we invested in the detective thing more, that would have been kind of an okay line. But it's not in the way it is in the episode, not good.
Right.
I'm saying it's kind of a cute line. Okay, it's protecting Batman's identity because that's what you do if you're a detective. But again, not really investing in the whole detective plot for this shot.
What is he doing at all that is even remotely detective-like in regards to Batman?
Yeah, I know. It's he tailed a vulture, which really is not that detective.
Yeah, but that was before he even met Batman, though.
Well, no, he's still trying to be a detective, just
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like anyways, that's not important.
Let's not dwell on the intricacies. So, Scrap is leading the Penguin search, and I gotta tell you, this is great doing. He comes back in another episode. It's not an episode's not gonna be one of Penguin's finest, but still, I love Penguin's cool car here.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
Really cool designs. There's always cool. Again, that's the thing. He's looking for any positives in this episode. There's cool. There is still some cool design work.
I can buy the idea of Penguin just driving around in a fancy car with a giant vulture. Like, I can get behind that. That's a cool image, just as a standalone image.
And most importantly with this episode, just with the introduction of this version of the Paul Williams Penguin, but more so, it's not only that, it's the addition of Paul Williams Penguin and the theme. Penguin's theme is amazing. Isn't it great?
I will agree with that. Yeah, the theme is really good.
And it's at its best in the best Penguin episode, which will be coming up. So again, that theme is played a lot during that, and you have it here. Its points that's the main get from this episode. We get Paul Williams and we get the theme. So Penguin is again we kind of the weird kind of a little out of character, and Penguin's not concerned about Batman at all. He's a peasant. He'll be nulled by the gas, which should basically work for a full week.
Great.
And again, I inklings of what might have been to give. Okay, well, if he views Batman as a peasant, let's spend time on that. Let's not just throw him off as a line. I want development. Darn it.
So meanwhile, we have hijinks because the mother's home, Dragon. Oh, joy.
So real quick, because we don't have that many good moments, I just want to mention one more thing. I love the monocle shot while he's saying it. We have that cool monocle shot, remember?
Yeah, I remember. But hijinks, Dragon, hijinks. Yes. Hijinks. Oh, my.
So Sherman's mother, who was obscure, because, we like paying homage here and there. Obscure, like, we don't need to see the mother, but we're going to see her anyway in a few seconds. We just kind of made that pointless. The point is, we see the obscure mother is checking on Sherman.
You're not trying to make gunpowder again, are you, Sherman?
Now, years ago, I never put this together, but on this viewing, I actually did. Tell me if you got this. This is them foreshadowing the Home Alone homage later on.
Oh, I absolutely got that.
I never caught before, like, the whole, like, you're not making gunpowder again.
Oh, he's just a regular Kevin I don't even think Kevin McAllister used gunpowder.
Well, no, I'm actually thinking of the Indiana Jones, the greatest fan film ever made.
Oh, yeah, right.
Anyway, so Roberta just really dumbly just spills the beans to Mrs. Grant Sherman.
Yeah, I mean, unless the logic is like, well, just tell the truth and she won't believe it anyways,
Yeah, I know, it's really just... There's no way she was just like mentioning kids. She's just so dumb she forgot. Let's protect the client.
Right.
Anyway, Mrs. Grant shows
casually too. It's just like, oh, no bigs. We just got Batman down here. We're just chilling with Batman, with fucking Batman.
Well, not that colorfully, but yes. It's not New Jersey after all. So let's see. So then the bullies, Frank and Nick, they have by. This is really dumb. This is dumb bully writing too. I mean, Biff Tannen had far better things to do. See, Biff Tannen. Let me just take a moment to express. Biff Tannen actually, the kids when they're. He takes a kid's ball and he throws it on someone's.
I don't think Biff Tannen to anyone compared to these twerps.
No, I'm saying again. I'm just like Biff Tannen's like one of like the Hall of Fame bullies compared to these guys. I'm not saying. I'm saying Biff Tannen.
Biff Tannen is in the Hall of Fame of bullies regardless. But
well, I guess. I mean, he isn't. I'm saying comparing these to the Hall of Famer Biff Tannen.
Right. Okay, gotcha.
Like they're making Biff Tannen cry. They're making Tom F. Wilson cry. And actually, it's funny. Tom F. Wilson does voice characters in this show. He voices a very important character in this show, actually.
Okay, so yeah, we get the bit where they're like, they're trying to be polite to the mother, even though they're about to do something nefarious. Oh, again.
Nefarious in a very loose sense, by the way. So here's why I'm saying comparing the Biff Tannen, because Biff Tannen like takes a ball, takes a kid's ball, and he throws it like a roof like across it. Is this your ball? And he's like, go get it. That's Biff Tannen. Here's what these guys do. These stupid kids. They're playing basketball with a brick into cardboard boxes. What? Who plays basketball with a brick?
Yeah.
It's very distinctly basketball. They're saying, and he shoots, and he... that's stupid. Anyways.
I have no words, Dragon.
My real question is, where did they get all those cardboard boxes out in the back so fast? And how do they have enough to cover the Batmobile?
Oh, I got the answer for that. Remember in Cartoon All-Stars where the Brawny Man dad is moving all the boxes? They just borrowed it from him. They borrowed it from the Brawny Man dad.
You're being facetious, aren't you?
No, I'm being dead serious.
All right. So So let's see. So the point is, the boys they see the revealed Batmobile, and I have a big gripe about this one. This one pisses me off. So,
Oh God.
so again, then Sherman he runs out and he tries to rationalize it. Says, "Oh, it's my mom. It's my uncle's
My
car."
uncle's car, yeah.
Which one is dumb? But that's not the thing that pisses me off. This is what pisses me off.
Okay.
He then reveals it's the Batmobile. And now let me get this straight. So just indulge me for your moment, please, if you'd be so kind. So let me get this straight. So they recognize the name Batman. They do. Sherman, we see downstairs, you got a Joker poster. He's got some Batman.
Right, that's right. He does have it. I was gonna ask you about that too. What is the Joker just mass merchandising himself?
I mean, there actually is a serial killer culture, but I don't think kids should be really having it. They're looking at it in kind of colorful villain things. Real stupid. They shouldn't have that, but it's like kind of
No,
like,
they shouldn't.
yeah, they shouldn't, but
That'd
they're looking.
literally be like having a John Wayne Gacy poster.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of occurred to me now you brought it up. Is that in a few episodes we're going to see merchandising in the animated series where actually people do kind of try to capitalize off of Batman's image in the show. It's kind of fun. So it kind of makes sense that we're going to try to sell him on as villains. It was such a demented idea when you think about it. Yeah, we're just to sell people. Hey, Joker posters, get your Joker posters. And that's where Joker's arguing about residuals in some of my favorite episodes. It's quite different, but let's not dwell on it. Anyways, the point is, here's the thing that bugs me. So again, they know there's a Batman. I know there's the point where it's kind of an urban legend. I get that, but the fact that in this episode where some kid randomly knows about the Batcave, let's just argue that Batman is a known entity in this episode. Let's just go with that for a moment.
No, okay.
So tell me this. These kids, they recognize the name Batman. Oh, that they say, no, that can't be the Batmobile. Let me get this straight, kids. The giant black bat-shaped car can't possibly belong to Batman. No, of course not. It can't possibly be the Batmobile. I mean, what else could it be? That's really stupid. I mean, why are they? First of all, it's a very futuristic-looking car. Have you ever seen a car like that before? Secondly, who can afford a car like that? Thirdly, how is it not Batman's car? How is it not the Batmobile to those stupid kids?
I get you.
Anyway, so then they randomly find the
Yeah.
Then they just happen to find the antitoxin, which they check under the visor, so he's exploring the thing.
And Sherman, like his dumb detective ass, finally puts it together.
Puts two and two together.
This kid's supposed to be a detective, Dragon. This kid's supposed to be basically like the protege of Batman before there was a Robin, even though there was a Robin in that one weird episode.
Well, they're not saying he's a protege, but he likes Batman. Doesn't mean he's trying to become Batman.
Okay, yeah, I'm just saying, he's comparing, he's like, you're a detective, I'm a detective, I can't, what is 2 + 2 = what?
All right, so he rushes the capsules to Batman. They are spotted by the descending scrap.
Mm-hmm.
His point is, Penguin knows where they are. That's the main crux of the scrap descending upon them. He gives Batman the capsule. Everyone. Basically, we have a scene where everyone's in the loop now. The boys go down the basement. Oh my God, he's right. There is Batman. They basically say,
"Oh my God, Batman is ET. Hide behind his pile of stuffed animals, Batman."
God. Anyway, so with the whole, for a moment they kind of flirt with unmasking. I do like this. Again, I wish we liked these kids a lot more, but I like the moment where Sherman kind of stands up to the bullies to make sure they don't unmask Batman. It's kind of cute.
Yeah, sure.
Again, not founded at all. I'm just saying in theory. Okay, it's kind of nice. He's protecting his client. Okay, and then, but I will give him this. I think the potential of the episode is that more at the end. But just the idea of Sherman's kind of setting everyone straight. We're not any more like the bullies, like you're still acting antagonistic in a crisis situation. They're all on the same page. I like how they get quickly on the same page.
Fair enough.
Point is, Sherman sets them straight, and then they mention the Penguin's coming here. Apparently, they're really receptive to Penguin being mentioned, but not the Batmobile.
Not that, right. I caught on to that too. I was like, why would like a random like middle school bully know who the Penguin is or care?
Yeah. Anyway, so point is, Penguins. The Penguins coming here. Penguin and company arrive. Roberta tries calling 911 again. The line's been cut by the vulture. That's a tough vulture because that thing that could have killed that vulture.
That's true. That's true.
That vulture should, by all means, be dead. Honestly, because there were a lot of electrical charges when he bit into that thing. So then, let me tell you what the problem with the writing on the Penguin is in this episode compared to where he's later on. See, they like the Penguin again, as I told you earlier, we're fine with the Paul Williams thing. He likes to quote Shakespeare a lot here and there, but most of that, again, they're kind of referencing the '60s show in a way here. That Burgess Meredith constantly quote Shakespeare in the '60s Batman show. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
So here they're kind of doing that, but with weird phrases that aren't really Shakespearean with the Penguin here. So this is the most quotey you're ever going to see the Penguin.
Okay.
See, later on, Penguin's gonna be like, he'll be really refined and respectful to his fellow villains, like when he's paired up with them. Like, yes, you'd be really refined, like calling them my compatriots, my cronies, whatever. Here, though, it's like all quotes. It's like all quotes in the Penguins. Seriously, every line Penguin has is a quote in this episode, practically. So he says, let's see. So basically, the kids then somehow they can take Batman's utility belt off, and it's not armed with some device, so they can actually get into it. Which later on, we saw that already in the POV episode. Henchman tried to break into it with a screwdriver, got sprayed with paint and stuff. Anyway, point is they're arming themselves with the utility belt to basically pull the ultimate Home Alone thing. You gotta remember, Tiki, Home Alone was really big at the time, so that's.
I know. Really... I'm well aware. I lived through it. I'm well aware of the time period. Okay.
So I think it's another thing that corrupted the writing when they're realizing, well, we need ideas here. What's really big? Home Alone. Okay, let's do that.
Can I just mention though? I think when the Penguin breaks into the house, it's like the most goddamn polite and respectable break-in I've ever seen.
Yes, I really do love that bit. That's what I'm talking about. Again, I think that's the Paul Williams charm I'm talking about with the Penguin.
Right.
That's his name. He says like stone walls. Again, he has the way he's delivering this is good. I just wish it was better lines. He's just sharing these quotes like stone. They try the henchmen try to open the door. It's locked. It says stone walls do not a prison make, nor locked doors a barricade. He releases pressurized gas to break the lock, and then he has this really great gentleman line. Gentlemen, then I use the term loosely. After you, I just love he invites him in first. That's so pleasant.
It's like the most polite break-in I've ever seen.
Yeah,
that's so cordial.
That's the best way of getting you a glimpse of what Penguin's like. That's Penguin.
Okay. Well, that was one of the takeaways I had of the episode with Penguin. So,
okay, let's see. So then they enter, and then we have Operation Foul Play.
Yeah, it's a Home Alone ripoff. Do we really even need to say any more about it?
I call it a cash-in, but a Home Alone cash-in ripoff.
Ripoff, cash-in, tomato.
Okay,
these
banana plantain.
These commoners have such cheap furniture.
I love that as he's at the ransacking the place looking for the egg. I love this that the Penguin criticizes the place as they look for the egg.
That is like the one gleam of funniness to come in the episode, I think.
Again, that's them kind of building the motif of the Penguin. Again, he feels so refined. He'll insult things as he's robbing them. That's kind of a little bit of what their take on the Penguin is. Right. Let the egg hunt begin, and they go again. That's really on the nose of a bad pun. It's the egg hunt.
I know. I was like, hold on. I have egg. Oh, I get it. It's an egg hunt. Ha.
You really had to look that one up,
right?
So let's see. So no. So then one of them, Raven, trips and he's tied up in the bat rope. Jay has he steps on a stair. It's like the gunpowder payoff, like boom, he falls down the stairs. Let's see. So then we have the cheap furniture line. You just threw out there. The egg gas bombs, random egg gas. I don't know if they made that. If that's in Batman's utility belt. Believe me, I've cataloged every gadget. I did not catalog that one because I have no idea where that's coming from. Frank and Nick, the two boys, are trying to wake Batman up downstairs to no avail. So basically, it's working through his system still. That's why he's not instantly waking up because he's been given the antidote, so he's not going to be out a week. So there's no plot hole there. It's just taking time. The kids.
I mean, I can buy that. Like, it doesn't make the episode any better because Batman is incapacitated, and that's a flaw. So, yeah, it logically makes sense, but it's still it still hurts the episode.
Yeah. So then they wrap Penguin up in some cool Batman gadgets. I will say I do love the bolas. The bolos are the bolas. They basically the Australian kind of throwing capture weapon. They spin it and then they throw it at the Penguin and it wraps him up, which is cool. Penguin then taunts them again. First of all, again, he's armed. He's armed with his umbrella in his arm, which these kids really need to work on their throwing here. Penguin taunts them, taunts them, and then uses the handle of the blade of his umbrella to escape. They lead Penguin to the basement in an attempt. They attempt to flee down to the basement to hopefully Batman will be awake and ready to defend them, but nope, not the case. And then Penguin has followed them on the way down. We have the eye blink. Okay, you remember this, Stig? Remember the whole like, he's still not awake? I thought Frank's thought he saw his eye blink. How can you see if his eye blinks? He has no. It's wide eye slits. How can you? He can't blink. Anyway, so then Penguin grabs the egg and says, "Ah, yes, a treat with my egg, sliced ham." And as he activates kind of the kind of the propeller function of the umbrella, he's preparing.
Wait! I don't get that pun at all. Like, is Batman supposed to be a pig or what?
Well, he's like a ham of a hero. You know, it's like he's like hammy. You know, it's. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying that's what they're going for. Okay.
Just call him a rat. Like I don't know. I have like a big.
It's like green eggs and ham, Tiki. You know, it's slicing the ham.
Look, I have a big long rant about the ham thing in my notes, but I'll spare you. But suffice to say, I was very annoyed by that. Anyways.
You know, it's like he's like a hero that's full of himself. He's oh, what a ham.
Fair enough.
Again, not saying it's good. I'm just saying that's what they're going for.
I took it more as like he's calling him a pig, as in like somehow, you know, sometimes
kind of a cop. You know,
yeah, right. Like pig is a slur for police officer. Right.
I do kind of like if you look at it that way. They're not going for that, but say if you look at it that way, it's kind of the refined version of pig would be ham. That's the Penguin's refined insult from the Penguin wouldn't call someone a pig, he'd call him a ham.
That's great. Okay, you know what? If that's the case, if I'm sure it's not, then I love it.
Yeah, it's by no means the case, but it's such a charming idea. What Penguin's like the refined insults, you know, like. Anyway, so point is,
I'm glad we talked through that. I'm glad we talked through that.
So anyway, so Penguin's using the propeller, you know, to kind of slice and dice Batman. Not in the Dark Knight Returns way, like slice and dice. No, not in that way. But he's about to like kind of slice through Batman. I do love this moment though, as silly as it is. I do love Batman suddenly waking up and crushing the umbrella. How cool is that? You know, Batman's conscience, he's pretty cool. He wakes up. Debatable coming up. Point is, he crushes the umbrella in his hand, which is awesome, which is why it doesn't work later on. I love that. He then tosses. I love. He tosses Penguin across the room. Well, he kicks him across the room. So that was really. He tosses. I'm sorry. Like basically, he grabs Penguin by the lapels. The henchman then goes, "Gentlemen, your timing is impeccable." Then he tosses one of them across the room, and he's fighting the other one. Then then we have the silliest moment. I don't know. People really harp on this and say, yeah, look, you've endured the rest of the episode. Just take it.
That's kind of my attitude on it too. I'm just like, well, what the hell? Sure. Yeah, I can. Why not?
See, here's the thing that bugs me.
It's kind of like I'm patting the troublemaking nephew on the head at this point. You know what I mean? Oh, you little scamp.
Yeah, I mean, here's the only thing I think would maybe be a little more okay with it. Maybe is that they made an animation mistake here. Is that Batman still has the utility belt on? They took the utility belt off earlier.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad.
So, and that here's why it's bad. Take it's not just the fact it's an error. Here's the problem. Is that that's why Batman should be fighting with a screwdriver instead of using any various item in the.
Folks, he's fighting with a screwdriver. Let me repeat that. Batman is fighting with a screwdriver.
Tiki, not just fighting, he is dueling with a screwdriver against Penguin because Batman crushes umbrella, which I do love that idea. Penguin removes the umbrella with a little function size. It's just a blade that it makes the point of the umbrella. So then they are dueling umbrella sword with a screwdriver. Let me repeat that. Umbrella sword with a screwdriver.
Oh, man.
And Batman, in this, the way it appears, he has various other gadgets he could use to take on the Penguin, but he's using a screwdriver. Anyway, so then they duel for a little bit, and basically Batman's still a little dazed coming out of it, and we have this really cool glasses shot. And this is a Frank Parr special. We see the reflection of Batman, as ridiculous as it is, of Batman and Penguin dueling in the kids' glasses, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I can see
Good shot. Then we have this really neat moment where Batman kicks Penguin across the room. I love that. Again, the action's kind of good. The action's good in this one. Just the story is not so good.
No, I even have in my notes. I'm like, okay, here we get a little bit of good Batman action.
Yep. Then we have, oh boy, take us through this bad gag. Take us through it.
What is it? What is it? The mother?
Yeah, when the mother comes back. So basically, everything's good. Oh, we're safe.
Yeah. And then, of course,
Sure.
Oh, hi, Jinx. The mother go, they're all busted.
She comes right after the fight. All right.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, so then basically from upstairs, she goes, Sherman! This is maybe you're safe. So then she marches down the stairs, and then she meets Batman.
And the kid asks Batman if he's single. I can't. I just can't.
I'll say this before we get the dumb single joke. It's silly, but I do love Batman being really respectful to her, saying, ma'am.
I like that, but the moment's ruined. It's absolutely ruined.
I mean,
if it would have just ended it on the ma'am, then it would have been perfectly fine. It would have been a good Batman moment.
Yeah, I mean, before the joke, I mean, yeah, it's kind of charming. Like, okay, a kid introducing his mother to Batman. How nice is that?
Again, concept, good in concept, bad in execution.
Yep. Hey, Batman, are you single?
It's like, what are you trying to do, kid?
I'm going to tell you this, Tiki. They do this joke a lot better later on, where basically Batman swoops into a woman's apartment, and she's very receptive to it. They do kind of a single joke with Batman, but it works a lot funnier.
All right, anyways.
Anyway, so then we have this is proof in the pudding. They really were probably pressured by the network just to make sure, because of the first time they introduced the thing, they really had to strive on this first one to make him, at least in one shot, look a lot like Danny DeVito. So you'll notice that's why he's really off model. We transitioned from Penguin being captured or something to like basically Sherman pinning up the newspaper clipping of Penguin put behind bars or something, and he's looking very Danny DeVito like versus what his usual design is.
I'd have to go back and look at that, but I believe you.
So he looks really, really different in that, like the newspaper clipping, because they really tried to make him in the last moments of the episode look a lot like Danny DeVito. That's the gag.
Okay, and Dragon. It ends with basically like the bullies are now in on the detective agency thing and everything, and I like that concept.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's the main thing with them working together.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but I've watched this episode twice now, and the bullies sound awfully robotic when they're like, "Yeah, Sherman."
They sound they're working for him. That's the main. That's what they're saying in unison.
Robotic.
Well, they're saying in unison.
Okay, I get that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy, but it sounded very robotic to me. And in my notes, I have, so Sherman is the mastermind all along, and he brainstormed them. Fuck vultures. That's literally how my notes end. Is just in all caps. Fuck vultures. So you can tell I'm taking this seriously.
Someone call Arkham quick. Anyway, no, seriously though. So I will agree with you very much, Dean, that I do love this in concept. Again, you're really telling two different stories here, but if you with this thing with the kid, again in concept, the idea that okay, kid's being bullied, and then by the end he's kind of they're all kind of friends and are all working through things. That's a very ambulance. You're right with the whole ambulance comparison in this, like they're all kind of more friends and more kind of like
sure.
The idea of Batman having an influence over kids, like they're all banding together, put together a detective agency based on Batman, based on the situation at hand, that should not happen. But just in concept, like okay, it's kind of nice.
Right, I get it.
And like they're all working together and basically have a little. And again, as a kid, I like this a lot more. This whole last shot of you, Batman's on the outside too. How cool is that? We see Batman's legs, but we know it's him, and he's like, the idea of Batman bonding with children, he's got to connect to you, especially when you're a kid. It's like, that's awesome.
And you know what? I think you kind of hit it on the head. I think this is easily like the most aimed for kids episode of the series, and I haven't seen the whole series, obviously, but I'd say it's safe to say there's not one that's quite this kiddie. Is there coming up?
No, this is the most kid like of the whole series. There are two. I'll say this. I think in the whole series in general, there are only two more episodes that are kind of like really under par. But this is the one that's most kid targeted. Again, Underdwellers, as you saw, was the closest we ever got to that again, and that was I want to say Be a Clown and Underdwellers are the closest kind of kid targeted ones we got, but those are still pretty mature for what they were.
Yeah, and I actually really liked the Underdwellers, so.
I mean, Be a Clown was most like, okay, joke. They really had they wanted Joker to kidnap the kid, but they had to scale back to the kid just stows away with the Joker, so they made it more kid-like. Right. So it was more serious in intention.
All right. So I guess that's about it then.
Yeah. So real quick, let me throw this so I don't forget about it. I'll tell you how they could have made this episode without going into the whole thing and stuff. Here's how the episode could have been really cool.
Okay.
Imagine this to you. I'm going to pitch this to you in like a minute. So. If this is the first introduction to the Penguin, you do like a Two-Face episode introduction with the Penguin. Not in 2 parts, just in 1 episode, though. It's like we start the episode on kind of like a robbery's going on. It's revealed to the Penguin. It could just be, if you want to be really cool and artsy with it, it could be you open the episode with the foiling of the Penguin. But the rest of the episode is kind of in flashback, is building up to the two of these guys meeting each other. And we see in flashback Penguin's origin of the whole he's bullied as a kid and these Penguin's let's say we see the origin of the Penguin. He's bullied by a kid. He's got an ailing mother and he's always kind of protective of her and the birds, and it's the only solace he can find. And we just see Batman looking into investigating the Penguin for the whole rest of it. So we basically build to the two of these guys meeting each other. Batman trying to find the Penguin, just not looking at him as anything more, but we, the audience, know why we're kind of feeling bad for the Penguin. Batman doesn't, and that's why Penguin just sees Batman as another bully, like he was being bullied by in his youth. And if you wanted to really throw kids into it, you could have Sherman, and so not doing the same thing by any stretch. I'm just saying you could have a little on to the side of Penguin Maze walking the street and you see he overhears on the outside of his lair, so he hears these kids bullying this one kid, and by the end, the kid says, "I want to be like Batman."
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're going for. It sounds fine. It's just, it's not the episode that they were trying to make.
I know. I'm just saying, as an alternative, if you want to do an introduction to the Penguin, what would you? I'm saying, if you, again, the idea that Alan Burnett had another shot at doing a villain introduction, I think it could have gone a little more deep of we understand a villain. Basically, I bring this up because the next episode, of course, is going to be a huge benchmark in Batman the Animated Series. We're going to really redefine a villain, really kind of put our own stamp on a villain. And we've kind of had, in a way, we have a sandwich here. Unfortunately, it's not a good sandwich.
No.
We've had Two-Face, and of course, we have Mr. Freeze in the middle. Unfortunately, is the Penguin.
Yeah, and I totally believe you when you say the Penguin gets better with time, but you're right, it is kind of a missed opportunity there with what could have been I don't know, I'm trying to think of a sandwich analogy, but I don't want to force it, so.
And I'm just saying, when I found Alan Burnett was kind of the inkling of this thing, again, it makes me think that this episode had so much more potential. And again, I just threw that out there because I just thought that's a way of kind of working in the take. They were flirting around with that before they kind of changed their ways because of the Dan DeVito thing. I'm saying that take sounds too interesting to kind of wait. I'm not saying
I just think the kids thing just kind of kills all the. I don't think they could have written their way around the kids thing personally. I think once that became a thread in the episode, I think it was pretty much all downhill from there.
Yeah. Again, the kids were the death of this episode. There's no way around that. I'm just saying, if you took the kids out of the equation, you might have had a potential to do a really interesting kind of Penguin introduction. But again, they're forcing
that's kind of my problem with the episode, though. It's not a Penguin introduction. It's literally the Penguin feels like an afterthought.
Exactly.
I said, Biggs could have been the villain in this. I mean, it would have been the exact same scenario.
It's one of the worst things you can do is you have two different episodes blended together. You never want that. And I know we've talked about an example, something like that before. We had two. Not you and I have heard this before. It's X-Men 3. Some people have said it's kind of Dark Phoenix mixed with The Cure. It's two different stories blended together. Here you have the story of kids being inspired by Batman, which is might be a nice story. And you also have the introduction of this awesome Paul Williams Penguin, but again, you're blending the two of them, which turns into a Saturday morning. Bear in mind, this was actually a Saturday morning, a really over-the-top Saturday morning.
Mm.
kind of version of those two episodes as one, which is really, again, this. You see what I'm saying? I think this episode could have had potential if it was one way or the other, but
Yeah, but you
together,
see what I'm saying too. Of like,
yeah.
I think they just, as soon as they made the creative decision to go that way, they just shot themselves in the foot.
Which is a shame because it really hurts me. There's a one episode that everyone kind of nails down. Unfortunately I have to agree with him now. Usually I was like kind of a defender in the past, like, well, I think people are just being harsh on it, but yeah, you have to admit this one really is the absolute weakest of Batman the Animated
There's
Series.
some ridiculous stuff in here. There's just no getting around it.
And we've gone through that pretty much. I think we really missed it. What's silly here? Again, it's just the kids are really badly written. Penguin's badly written. Again, we're kind of blending episodes. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's no Batman. Batman's knocked out for at least 2/3 of the episode.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess that's overall kind of our final thoughts. I'm trying to get us into. It's pretty sums up.
Thoughts. I pretty much have kind of stated my final thoughts as of like, it was fun to talk about. It was ridiculous, but it's not something I'm gonna go back and watch a lot. It's just, like I said, it is kind of a fun nostalgia trip to like, oh, I remember when kid shows used to be terrible in the '90s. I remember. So, Dragon, like you said, it could have been so much more, but they just kind of shot themselves in the foot.
I do kind of like having that experience with it now because before I was kind of worried. I kind of like knowing that the behind the scenes on this one, knowing that, well, at least I never knew that whole Norman Bates take, which makes me really interested. Like, wow, this episode could have much greater. Because before it was just like, it's like it's kind of swept under the rug that people try to forget about. But we shouldn't try it. We shouldn't just forget about it. We should always kind of consider, these guys, they didn't want to do this one. No one wanted to do this episode. It just kind of turned into this.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't like just from the get-go. Like, it wasn't them at their best turning out something bad. It was something, it wasn't them at their best turning out something really inferior. It was the fact they had good intentions that just kind of turned into just them just being like, well, we're really not happy with this, so it's unfortunate. It's just not our best work.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so I'll get into my bulldozer Batman. I'll tease the next one.
Go ahead.
Next one's a big one, folks. Snow in the midst of a Gotham heat wave. Pathos, drama, Mr. Freeze. Can Batman foil a revenge plot most justified? Is that Emmy I smell? Find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place. Next visit to
the
animated bat cave with
Heart of Ice. Buckbolt